Welcome back to the Everyday Father. I'm excited to have you here. It's a beautiful week. It's a beautiful day. And I want to get real with you guys for a little bit. I find it difficult sometimes as a father, as a man, to feel like I'm doing enough, to feel like I'm doing it well. I struggle. I find that I think that I'm failing as a father about how I'm raising my kids, how I'm doing my job. I feel like I'm failing as a man for how I'm providing, what I'm doing. And I think a big part of that is because in today's world, we see all the shiny. We see the highlight reel version of people's lives. We see the people who get elevated to the top of the spectrum of being shown things are doing it in what seems to be a perfect way. They're not making mistakes. They're not doubting themselves. They're not struggling through things. But I think that's all a facade. I think there's more people like me who I'm very confident in who I am. I'm very confident in what I can do. But yet every day I question if I'm doing enough. I question if I'm doing it well. I question if I'm on the right path. I question if the choices I'm making are the right ones for my kids, for my family, for my life. And I think that sometimes that's just the burden you have to carry as a man. Especially one that wants to elevate his kids' lives, to elevate his family's situation. I want to do good things. I want to do big things. I want to provide lots of opportunities. And with that, because I have this dream and these aspirations, I have doubts, I have struggles, and I have battles regularly to stay on course, to stay on path. And I feel like I'm not alone. I feel like a lot of times there's others who hop on these social media sites and these pages and they wonder, man, am I ever going to figure it out? Am I ever going to be good enough? I can't do these things. I'm not like this person. I don't feel this way. And I guess I'm here to say that they don't feel that way either. They have doubts. If the numbers and the views and the things went away, there would be struggles. They've built themselves to a point which is awesome. I'm happy for that success, and I hope they continue to have that success. But I want to make sure that it's understood that even though they are winning in the social media world, they may be winning in the financial world, everybody has their demons. Everybody has their struggles. We're still all human inside. And no matter where you are at in your journey, no matter what you're doing on your path, it's okay to feel this way. But lean into the things that you're confident and strong about. Lean into the things that you're proud of. Lean into the things that you know you're doing well. Because you're always going to want more. You're always going to feel like there's something else to give. And it's okay to continue to pursue that drive, but don't let it consume you. Don't let it become this never-ending battle of more. There's a really challenging piece of this that as we're trying to climb these mountains, as we're trying to become these men for our kids, for our wives, for our families, of when's the top? Where's a good spot to make camp? Because you could always keep climbing. There's always going to be another step. There's always going to be one more journey on the other end of things. And at some point, you have to turn around and look and go, man, this is the view I want. This is fine. This is good. I built something special here. I'm in a good place. And I know that I can sustain this. Everybody's spot's different on the mountain. We can't all just live on the top. But there's some really good spots about halfway up. There's some really good spots just a little bit higher, just a little bit out of your reach. Find your spot. Don't chase what everyone else is putting out there online. Don't chase what everyone else is showing as this perfect life. Create your own. Find your balance. If you feel like you're failing as a father, I've been there. All I can say is be present. If you're there, you're not failing. You only fail when you're gone. You only fail when you leave. You only fail when you stop trying. You will always make mistakes, but you can learn too. And you can show your family and your kids that being human is a strength. That when you make a mistake, you can come back stronger, you can learn from it, and you can grow from it. If you feel like you're failing as a provider, just keep trying. Just keep building. Stack bricks. The first brick isn't the biggest. You can't put the big brick on top, right? You got to start at the bottom. You got to build it up. You got to build something that can sustain the weight of the wall. And sometimes it takes longer than you want it to. But as long as you're still stacking bricks, as long as you're still building that wall, you're doing the right things. If you need somebody to talk to, you want somebody to kind of bounce some things off of, hit me up. Because like I said before, it may look at times like I've got it all figured out. And for the purpose of the show, I want you to think that, I'm doing all the right things. But it doesn't mean I don't question if there's more. It doesn't mean I don't question if that wasn't the right choice or if I'm doing something wrong. But I'm confident that the thoughts I'm having about the wrong are just that. They're just thoughts. I'm doing a lot of good. I've learned to compartmentalize the thoughts and the actions, to put them in separate buckets, and to allow myself to feel certain ways at times, because there are going to be negative thoughts, negative days, ups and downs. Embrace them, own them, keep moving forward. You're doing a lot of good, I'm sure of it. If you're tuning into a show like this, then you're trying to get better, because that's what this show is about. It's about growing. It's about learning. It's about getting better. It's about being a present father. It's about doing what we can to just do the best we can each and every day. And so I respect the fact that you're willing to listen to somebody else talk about their life in hopes that you might be able to find something that you can put into yours. That's how I spend a lot of my time too. I find people that I respect. I find people that I love and I know, and I seek their guidance, and I pick pieces of what they're doing well, and I think to myself, can I do that too? I don't try to be like them. I think that's an important piece. You can only be you, but you can take pieces, and you can take stories, and you can take parts, and you can build your own thing. Find out who you want to be. Take the pieces that make sense. Put them all together. I thought it was important to have this conversation today. Before we got too far into the journey of what the Everyday Father was about, I want to make sure that I'm transparent about the fact that the things I'm doing are what I feel are best. But I often question if I am doing my best. I often question if this is the right path. And I don't think those thoughts will ever stop, no matter how far I get. If this thing becomes huge and everyone's watching, I still think I'll doubt. But that's okay. Thoughts of doubt, in my opinion, mean you care. We don't get thoughts of doubting things that we don't care about, right? You don't doubt if you're cheering loud enough to the television when your football team's playing. That's not a real thing. The doubt comes from wanting to be great, wanting to do well, and wanting to provide. And it has to be something that you love. It has to be something that you care about. It has to be something important. So keep being great out there, guys. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
1 week after launching our exclusive sneak peek, NGBN TV was live for 3 days of continuous coverage from Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas.
NGBN TV is live from Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58.
The one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s was the conversation for the big game about men's mental health. And the world of athletes, celebrities, and influencers were on notice. But we're just getting started with new partnerships announced like the Team Nike 3-on-3 Championship and new platforms available to download the NGBN TV app. So, what are you waiting for? Download the app today from your favorite streaming device or check us out at ngbn.tv. This is NGBN TV.
Hello, welcome to Veritas. I'm your host, Adam Colazetti, and I'm here to guide you on a meditative adventure like no other. Join me and lose yourself in your imagination as we travel the outer reaches of the cosmos, quest for powerful talismans, and explore the inner realm of your subconscious. What might you find along the way? But be warned, fair traveler, this path is not for the faint of heart. On this path, of one thing I am certain, dragons be here. Are you ready?
What's up? My name is Chris Rubio, and I'm the host of The Rubio Method on the NGBN TV network.
Focus. Focus up. Long snapping and life are very, very similar.
We have a great show that's going to educate you, inspire you, and most importantly, entertain you. I say most importantly because that's what I really want to do. And we're just kind of going on this journey together. And I'm going to make sure as we go on this journey together, you're going to have a good time while doing it. So check out The Rubio Method on NGBN TV.
Hello and welcome back to another movement of the week. This week I want to dive into a little mobility and strengthening, some stability stuff, some things that are going to help you if you sit a lot throughout the day. You know, a lot of Americans these days, a lot of people these days, we have jobs where we're stuck in a seated position. And because of that, what I see a lot of are tight, weak hip flexors, tight, weak hamstrings, causing low back pain, causing all kinds of problems when it comes to moving athletically and moving appropriately. So what I want to do today is show you a stretch strengthening complex that you can do to start to improve your hip flexors. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to get this kneeling position, this half kneeling position. And what I see a lot of times is when people are stretching their hip flexors, they're rocking and they're bouncing and they're pushing into this, but they're not getting much out of that because that time to lengthen the joint, the muscles, the pieces around this part of the hip, it takes time to get in there. So what I like to have happen is I want to see you push to that stretch point. All right, when we get to that point where I'm starting to feel a little bit of a stretch here. All right, from there, I'm going to extend my arm overhead. Now this is going to lengthen everything through this side of my body, and I'm going to get a bigger stretch. Once I'm there, I try to actively squeeze my glutes. So my glutes are going to fire, I'm going to reach and extend, and then from here, I can move, but we're not trying to bounce into this stretch. We're just trying to hang out, we're trying to hit those edges, we're trying to turn. Okay, this is a little bit tighter over here, so I'm going to hang out there. I'm going to rotate a little bit. Okay, now I'm getting a little bit more. From here, oh, there it is. Okay, and we're going to hang out there for a little bit. And each time I get into those spots where I feel it start to grab, I want to emphasize that part of the stretch. I want to feel that part open up and release. If you don't spend enough time in the areas that need to be fixed, all you're doing is activating and releasing. You're not going to get a whole lot out of that time. When you stretch, there should be a small amount of time that you spend in that discomfort, in that lengthening phase. Otherwise, it's just going to stretch shorten, and it's not going to actually release that tension, and you're not going to get a whole lot out of it. The other part of this, though, is flexibility is great. Mobility is even better. Stability and mobility together create a person who can move well in space. So we want to be strong in our hip flexors too. We don't just want long, loose, flexible hip flexors. All right, we want to be able to, now this side's a little bit tighter for me, so I need to spend a little time over here and get this a little bit looser. But What we want to do after we spend time working on our hip flexors, as far as stretching, we want to strengthen a little bit. And one of the first things you can do, very basic, is we're going to sit here nice and tall, and we're just going to actively lift. And then come back down. Lift. And come back down. And similarly to the stretch, I want to get that little bit of isometric at the top of my squeeze, control it coming down, and then fire back up. And then, we want to hit both sides. And as you can see here, this is an interesting thing for me to do. This side's got a little bit more range of motion, but I'm also starting to cramp up a little my quad, which means I need to start to work this a little bit better myself. Part of the problem we see here is we're weak, we don't use it, we don't apply these types of smaller movements, and then eventually they just become wasted space in our body and they don't help us at all. The hip flexors are such an important part of being able to run, being able to squat, being able to bend down, hip hinge, move well. And if we don't take care of them, they start to wither away with time. So spend some time with these today. Basic start. Just the lift and hold with the hip flexor strengthening, okay? Eventually you can do where you're going up and over and moving around a little bit. That's the next phase of things. And then also spend time working that stretch, getting into that kneeling position, working into that drive phase, getting that lengthening, and spend some time out there. Give these two a go in your next workout and tell me how you feel. We'll see you guys in the gym. Hello and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that movement of the week. If you have a job where you sit predominantly, you need to start to implement that movement, that strengthening protocol, that flexibility protocol immediately. I think it's going to help you feel better relatively quickly. It's something that when we sit for long periods of time, those hip flexors become shortened and they become weak and they don't function the way they should. And if you are an active father who wants to participate with your kids in sports, to run, to sprint, to move, those hip flexors are going to be an important part of being able to maintain a good sprint cycle, to be able to maintain good explosive output, and to also, I think, over time alleviate some back pain, because shortened hamstrings, shortened and tight and weak hip flexors cause the pelvis to turn and tilt, and then that leads into the lower back trying to compensate, and that's where a lot of the pain comes from. So I've talked several times about how I like to train athletically, how I like to incorporate athletic style movements into my workouts. I don't want to just strength train. I don't want to just power lift. I don't want to be a bodybuilder, but I want to be an athlete. But what does that mean? So a lot of what I'm trying to do is not just have strength, but have functional strength. Strength that I can apply to force production, to be able to move my body well. I want to be able to sprint, cut, change direction, absorb force, give force. And so one of the things that I try to incorporate a lot of is this movement where I am being explosive, being light on my feet, exerting force into the ground to try to move quickly. And granted, yeah, I'm 40 years old. I don't move as fast as I used to. However, what I have found is I can still maintain a high level of athleticism because of the type of training that I do. So let's run through what that looks like. I like to start a lot of my workouts, almost every single one, with some kind of jump rope. I just feel like it helps get the blood flowing, gets me used to being light on my feet. It's a very extensive movement from a plyometric standpoint. It's small, little, tiny hops. It keeps me going, plus the shoulders getting warmed up. So there's a lot of things going on with the jump rope that helps kind of get me prepped to start doing my stuff. After that, I do like to go through a series of the extensive pogos. And what the extensive pogos are is they're tinier, they're smaller, they're quicker. I'm rebounding a lot faster, and I'm trying to work rhythmically through the balls of my feet, staying in my toes, and really just kind of feeling the ground work underneath me. I will do forward and backward, and I will do single leg forward and backward. And that is the nice part of getting ready to go. Now the blood's flowing, my ankles are nice and ready to prepare to absorb force. And that's when I'll go to the intensive plyometric start part of the program. I'm now trying to go as high as I can, to be stiff when I absorb force from the ground and rebound quickly. And I'm bouncing. I'm working on stiff ankles through the balls of my feet, absorb force, give force, and be explosive. I will do both 2-leg and single leg pogos here. This is part of the getting active with the ground force production. From there, I do like to include some type of lateral type movement, and this is where the ice skaters come in. I like ice skater bounds. You're pushing forward and diagonal. You're absorbing that force, gathering yourself, exploding back across. We're working that side-to-side motion. We're not just going forward and back, and that starts to get some of that frontal plane, okay? After the ice skater bounds, I worked into my sprint prep. And on this particular day, I did some straight leg bounds. I like these from a getting the hamstrings prepped. They're a little bit easier on the body, not as hard to get kind of timed up as a regular bound. So if you're new to bounding, this is probably a good place to begin. Be careful getting overextended and making contact too far out in front of your body. You want that strike point to be underneath the hip, so that way you're not extending and pulling through the hamstring. You don't want to hurt yourself there. After the straight leg bounds, I will work into my power skips. And now these are just basically like skipping when you were younger, except for now I'm trying to cover as much distance as I possibly can on each jump. So I am exploding through the floor. I'm swinging hard. I'm trying to get into like a sprint style movement here to get myself prepped for my next part, which is where I'm going to sprint. So I'm pushing hard. I'm driving down the driveway here. I'm trying to get to the end of the driveway in as few jumps as possible. And then I'll usually do a couple sprint starts. Depending on the day, I will do full cycle. I will get longer distance sprints and get into my full cycle. Or in this particular one, I'm just working some starts, feeling myself lean, and just kind of getting out of the gate with a couple hard steps. So this is just more sprint prep, and then I'll go into my workout. And this is enough to get my athletic juices flowing, to feel like I've made some impact on my ability to still move like an athlete. And then the nice thing is over time, I can build upon this. I can add more to it. I can become more dynamic. But this is a great place to start to kind of get you used to moving like an athlete again. So give this a shot, and we'll follow up on this as we go a little deeper into our programming sections as we continue on this journey together. But we'll continue today's episode right after this commercial break.
Hello, we are the MD and Chef team. I'm nutritional chef Michael, joined by my beautiful wife, Dr. Isabel, medical doctor and suicide survivor.
Yes, I was dropped into the world of mental illness back in 2013, and by the grace of God, I survived suicide. But here's what I learned. We don't have a mental illness issue. That's the downstream event. We're focusing downstream. We should be focusing upstream on our brain health and all the things that we can be doing to support our brain health. Because you see, it's like mopping up the floor when the sink is overflowing instead of turning off the faucet. So come and join us on the MD and Chef Team show.
Come join us.
What's up, everyone? This is Chris Fontana, founder of Go Primal Lifestyle and Fitness Apparel and host of the Primal Mindset Show on NGBN TV. Coming to you from Long Island, New York, with the transformative show that shares inspiring stories of overcoming adversity and embracing personal growth. Hosted by me, who has triumphed over immense challenges, including addiction, mental health struggles, and significant weight loss. This show features conversations with individuals who have conquered their own obstacles. Through heartfelt discussions, the Primal Mindset offers hope, guidance, and inspiration to listeners, encouraging them to persevere and never settle. Join us on this empowering journey of resilience and transformation as we share the stories of incredible individuals who have embraced the power of the Primal Mindset. Join us on NGBN TV.
Welcome back to The Everyday Father. Thank you so much for taking time to join me again this week. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you. I know we started off a little heavy at the beginning, but I think that's needed from time to time. Men are often told to bury their emotions, to hide how they're feeling, to skirt the truth of things and just keep plugging on. And ultimately, I think that leads to a lot of the problems that we see amongst middle-aged men struggling emotionally, struggling to find their course and find their way. I'm very confident that I'm doing a lot of things well, but but that doesn't stop the doubts. That doesn't stop me wanting more. And I think that was the part of the message that I hope that you took from this, is that you may be doing well in a lot of things, but there's going to be times where that doubt creeps in, where you start to wonder, man, I don't even know if I can handle this anymore. And you can, and you're capable. And I know that, it's not always easy, but just keep showing up, keep doing your best, have some fun with it, tie some things in there. As you can see, I do my best to make things fun. I'm trying to live to the highest level I can. And that balances out sometimes when I feel like I'm struggling. This weekend I built a slide. I think you saw a video of that in the episode, and seeing them smile from that little gesture makes things a little bit easier. I also had a parent-teacher conference with my son, and she said he's a joy in class. He works real hard. He listens well. He's trying to do the right things. And for me as a parent, because I know he struggles learning right now, some of the speech stuff is difficult for him, to hear all those positive things, it just makes me feel good that, I'm doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing. We're raising a good kid. And not that I had doubts that he was a good kid, but you always wonder, am I doing enough? Am I helping enough? Am I around enough? Am I doing, this mentality of more? It's consuming and it's difficult, and it's our society these days, always wanting more money, more cars, more house, more followers, more likes. It's a never-ending battle. And so finding enough, finding peace, finding things that make you happy, finding ways to disconnect from all of the other chaos of the world, I think is valuable. I've hoped you've enjoyed the journey so far. I'm excited for what's to come, because we're getting into springtime, and that means I'm going to be back out on the grill. So we're going to have some recipes flying out of this thing. My kitchen's almost done. We've got a black backsplash to go, and I can be in there. So I might start throwing some videos in there about some healthy recipes, how I piece things together there. Plus we'll be getting outside. I'm actually thinking about trying to start growing my own vegetables this year a little bit. So again, we're going to play around with some stuff and have some fun with it. I'm here with the kids a lot. So we're going to try to figure out how to keep them busy, how to keep them active, how to incorporate my health into that, because one of the things that I want to make sure that I'm doing is staying fit and active myself while I'm trying to teach them how to do the same thing. So we've got some fun stuff in store. I'm excited about, the changing of the weather. The coaching's going well. And as we continue to piece this thing together, if there's something that you want to see, if there's something that you're struggling with personally, let me know. Shoot me an email, charles@theedgeofgreatnessproject.com. We can slide some ideas into the show. I've got some things I've been working on, but I'm more than happy to answer questions. And I want this to be an interactive show. I want this to be something that is bringing you value. So if it's just about me and how I'm doing my thing, sure, you might pick up a thing or two, but if it's something that I do already that you're struggling with, that's even better. Right? And maybe I'm struggling with it too, and I have to learn it as well. So that could be a possibility for me to get better myself. So please tell me what's going on in your life. Let me know how I can help, and let's keep getting better together, because the only thing we can do is do our best, show up every day, keep putting our best foot forward, be present for our kids, be present for our wife, and, keep being great out there, guys.